My entitled sister tried to ruin my wedding for attention, but my husband had the ultimate revenge. I'm still reeling from the events of the past few weeks, and I honestly don't know where to begin. This is a throwaway account because my family, especially my sister, is extremely active on social media, and I don't want any of this getting back to them before I've had a chance to process everything. I'm 30 years old, and my husband, Mark, is 32. We've been together for 5 years, married for a glorious 3 weeks. My sister, Sarah, is 33. Sarah and I have always had a complicated relationship. Growing up, she was the golden child. She was effortlessly beautiful, excelled at everything she tried, sports, academics, music, and had a magnetic personality that drew everyone to her. I, on the other hand, was always in her shadow. I was the quiet, bookish one, often overlooked, and constantly compared to her. Our parents, bless their hearts, never intentionally favored her, but their praise and attention naturally gravitated towards Sarah's achievements. This created a deep-seated resentment in me that I've tried to bury over the years, but it always seems to resurface, especially when Sarah is involved. When Mark and I got engaged, I was over the moon. Mark is everything I ever wanted in a partner: kind, supportive, incredibly funny, and he sees me, not just my sister's shadow. Our engagement period was a whirlwind of planning and excitement. We decided on a relatively small wedding, around 100 guests, at a beautiful vineyard just outside the city. It was going to be elegant, intimate, and perfectly as Sarah, of course, was designated as my maid of honor. I agonized over this decision. Part of me wanted to choose my best friend, Jessica, who has been my rock through everything. But another part of me, the part that still craved my sister's approval and yearned for a normal sisterly bond, felt obligated to ask Sarah. I hoped that this significant role would bring us closer, that she would finally see me as an equal, and that we could share in the joy of my special day. Oh, how naive I was. From the moment I asked her, Sarah began to subtly, and not so subtly, make the wedding about her. During dress shopping, she insisted on trying on various gowns, including a few that were strikingly similar to the style I was leaning towards. She would dramatically twirl in front of the mirror, soliciting gasps and compliments from the sales associates, while I stood awkwardly in my own chosen dress, feeling increasingly invisible. "Oh, this one is just stunning on me, don't you think?" she'd exclaim, glancing at me with a smirk. "It's almost too good for a bridesmaid, isn't it?" The bachelorette party was another prime example. I had envisioned a relaxing weekend spa retreat with my closest friends. Sarah, however, took over the planning, transforming it into a wild clubbing extravaganza that I absolutely detest. She invited a slew of her own friends whom I barely knew, and spent the entire weekend monopolizing conversations, flirting with strangers, and making sure she was the center of attention. I spent most of the night feeling uncomfortable and out of place, retreating to my hotel room early while Sarah continued to party until dawn. Jessica tried her best to shield me and make me feel included, but even she was overwhelmed by Sarah's dominant personality. As the wedding day approached, Sarah's antics escalated. She criticized every decision I made, from the floral arrangements to the menu choices. "Are you sure about these hydrangeas? They're so common," she'd say with a dismissive wave of her hand. "And the chicken. Everyone serves chicken at weddings. Why not something more exciting?" She even tried to convince me to change my first dance song, claiming it was too slow and boring. Each time, I'd try to explain my reasoning, but she'd just shrug and walk away, making me feel like my choices were inferior. Mark noticed it all. He's incredibly perceptive, and he could see the toll Sarah's behavior was taking on me. He'd often pull me aside, offering comfort and reassurance. "Don't let her get to you, my love," he'd say, holding my hand. "This is our day, and it's going to be perfect, no matter what she tries to do." His unwavering support was the only thing that kept me from completely losing my mind. 2 days before the wedding, the final straw broke. We were at the rehearsal dinner, a lovely, intimate gathering with immediate family and the wedding party. Sarah, after having several glasses of wine, stood up to give her maid of honor speech. I had braced myself for some light-hearted teasing, perhaps a slightly embarrassing anecdote from our childhood. What I got was a full-blown monologue about her. She started by reminiscing about her own numerous dating experiences, none of which, she emphasized, ever led to anything serious because no man was ever good enough for her. She then pivoted to how she's always been the one everyone looks up to, and how she paved the way for me in everything. She even brought up a story about how, when I was little, I apparently copied her choice of prom dress, making it sound like a grand betrayal. The entire speech was less about celebrating Mark and me, and more about showcasing her own supposed superiority and how she was sacrificing so much to be there for my wedding that I sat there, my face burning, fighting back tears. Mark, bless him, squeezed my hand under the table, his knuckles white. My parents looked mortified, trying to subtly signal Sarah to stop. But she was oblivious, basking in the spotlight, occasionally glancing at me with a smug smile. When she finally finished, there was an awkward silence before a smattering of polite applause. I felt utterly humiliated. Later that night, I confronted her. I found her in the hotel lobby, still buzzing from her performance. "Sarah," I began, trying to keep my voice even. "What was that speech about? It wasn't about Mark and me at all. It was all about you." She scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Oh, lighten up, little sister. It was just a bit of fun. You're always so sensitive. Besides, I made everyone laugh. Isn't that what a good speech is supposed to do?" "No, Sarah, a good maid of honor speech is supposed to celebrate the couple, not tear down the bride and make everything about yourself," I said, my voice trembling with suppressed anger. "You've been doing this our entire lives, and I'm sick of it. This is my wedding, and I deserve to have one day where I'm not overshadowed by you." Her face hardened. "Overshadowed? Please. You think anyone even notices you when I'm around? You're lucky I even agreed to be your maid of honor. Honestly, you should be thanking me for adding some sparkle to your incredibly boring life." That was it. The dam broke. I told her, through tears, that I didn't want her in the wedding party anymore. I told her that her constant need for attention and her inability to be genuinely happy for me had finally pushed me to my breaking point. I said I still wanted her at the wedding as a guest, as she was my sister, but I couldn't have her standing next to me on such an important day. She exploded. She called me selfish, ungrateful, and a bridezilla. She threatened to skip the wedding entirely, claiming she wouldn't grace such a dull affair with her presence. My parents, who had overheard the tail end of our argument, tried to intervene, urging me to reconsider. "She's your sister, darling," my mother pleaded. "You can't do this right before the wedding. It'll cause such a scene." My father just shook his head, looking utterly defeated that I held my ground. Jessica stepped in and agreed to be my maid of honor, a role she gracefully accepted despite the last-minute change. Sarah, fuming, stormed off, declaring she would not be attending the wedding. I was heartbroken, but also strangely relieved. A weight had been lifted. The morning of the wedding was surprisingly calm. The weather was perfect, the vineyard looked stunning, and I felt a sense of peace I hadn't experienced in weeks. Jessica was a dream, helping me with everything and keeping my spirits high. Mark was his usual wonderful self, sending me sweet messages throughout the morning as I was getting my hair and makeup done. My mother came into the room, looking flustered. "Honey," she whispered, "Sarah's here. And she's wearing..." My mother trailed off, her eyes wide with disbelief that I frowned. "Wearing what, Mom?" "A wedding dress," she finally managed, her voice barely above a whisper. My blood ran cold. A wedding dress? My own sister, attending my wedding, in a full-blown white gown? It sounded so absurd, so unbelievably petty, that I almost laughed. But then the reality set in. She was doing this to steal my thunder, to make herself the center of attention, to once again overshadow me on the one day that was supposed to be solely mine. That I felt a surge of pure rage, followed by a wave of crushing disappointment. Even after everything, after me asking her to step down, she was still determined to ruin my day. I felt the tears welling up, threatening to undo all the perfect makeup. Jessica, seeing my distress, immediately stepped in. "Absolutely not," she declared, her voice firm. "We are not letting her do this." She turned to my mother. "Mom, please go tell Mark. He needs to handle this." My mother, looking hesitant, nodded and left. I sat there, trying to compose myself, my mind racing. What could Mark even do? It was too late to send her away. She was already here, already making a scene. A few minutes later, Mark walked in, looking incredibly handsome in his tuxedo, but with a determined glint in his eyes. He knelt in front of me, taking my hands. "Hey, beautiful," he said softly, wiping a tear from my cheek. "Don't you worry about a thing. I've got this." "How, Mark?" I choked out. "She's wearing a wedding dress. Everyone will be looking at her." He just smiled, a mischievous glint in his eyes. "Trust me, I have a plan." I had no idea what his plan was, but seeing his confident smile gave me a flicker of hope. I took a deep breath, trying to push Sarah out of my mind. This was my wedding day, and I refused to let her ruin it. The ceremony was beautiful. I walked down the aisle, my father by my side, to Mark's beaming face. I tried to scan the crowd for Sarah, but I couldn't see her from where I stood. I figured she was probably lurking in the back, soaking up any attention she could get. I focused on Mark, on our vows, on the incredible love we shared. It was perfect. During the reception, as guests were mingling and enjoying cocktails, I finally spotted Sarah. She was indeed wearing a floor-length, intricately beaded white gown, complete with a train and a delicate veil pinned to her hair. She looked like a bride. She was standing near the entrance, chatting animatedly with some distant relatives, clearly reveling in the confused whispers and stares she was attracting. My heart sank. Even though the ceremony had been wonderful, her presence was a dark cloud hanging over the celebration. Just as I was about to go over and confront her, or perhaps just hide in the bathroom for the rest of the night, Mark took my hand and led me to the center of the dance floor. The DJ, whom Mark had spoken to earlier, lowered the music. Mark held my hands, a wide grin on his face. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, his voice carrying through the room, "can I please have your attention for a moment?" Everyone turned to face us, including Sarah, who looked intrigued, probably assuming Mark was about to make some grand declaration of love for her sister. "Before we kick off the dancing," Mark continued, his voice clear and confident, "I have a very special announcement to make. As many of you know, my wonderful wife, Anna, and I are celebrating our marriage today. But what you might not know is that we are also celebrating another very special occasion." He paused, and the entire room was silent, looking at him expectantly. Sarah was practically preening, probably thinking he was about to praise her for being such a supportive maid of honor, despite everything. Then, Mark turned to Sarah, a sweet, almost innocent smile on his face. "Sarah," he said, his voice dripping with feigned sincerity, "we are so incredibly thrilled to announce that you, my dear sister-in-law, are officially getting married tonight." A gasp rippled through the crowd. Sarah's jaw dropped. She looked utterly stunned, her fake smile slowly dissolving into confusion. Mark continued, his voice getting louder, completely ignoring Sarah's growing horror. "Yes, that's right. Sarah has decided to surprise us all and tie the knot herself tonight. And look, she even came prepared in her beautiful wedding gown." He gestured dramatically towards her. "Isn't she just a stunning bride?" The guests erupted in a mixture of confused murmurs and laughter. Many people, not knowing the full extent of Sarah's antics, genuinely thought it was some kind of quirky surprise double wedding. Some even started applauding, congratulating Sarah, who now looked like a deer caught in headlights. "Now, I know this is incredibly spontaneous," Mark continued, keeping a straight face, "but since she's clearly dressed for the occasion, and we have a venue, a band, and plenty of delicious food, we figured we might as well make it official for her." He then turned to the DJ. "DJ, if you could please play some romantic music for our second happy couple. And everyone, please give a round of applause for Sarah and her mystery groom. Sarah was speechless. She looked from Mark to me, then to the bewildered guests. Her face was a kaleidoscope of emotions: shock, embarrassment, fury. She tried to stammer out a protest, something about it being a mistake, but Mark cut her off, his voice still cheerful. "Oh, don't be shy, Sarah. We know you love the spotlight. Now, where is the lucky gentleman? Come on out, whoever you are, and claim your bride." The entire room was now buzzing with excitement, everyone trying to figure out who Sarah's groom was. Sarah, bright red, finally found her voice. "Mark, what are you doing? There's no groom. This is a mistake." Mark feigned surprise. "No groom. But you're wearing a wedding dress, Sarah. We just assumed. I mean, who wears a wedding dress to someone else's wedding unless they're getting married themselves?" The implication hung in the air, undeniable and utterly humiliating. All the guests, who had initially been confused, now started to connect the dots. The whispers changed from "who's the groom?" to "why is she wearing a wedding dress?" The laughter turned from jovial to knowing, and a few people even started openly snickering. Sarah's face crumpled. She looked around, realizing that everyone was now looking at her, but not in the way she had intended. The attention she craved had backfired spectacularly, turning her into the laughingstock of the wedding. Why parents rushed over to her, their faces a mixture of embarrassment and anger. My mother started whispering furiously to her, probably telling her to change or leave. Sarah, completely mortified, finally broke down. She burst into tears, covered her face, and ran out of the reception hall. The entire incident lasted maybe 5 minutes, but it felt like an eternity. After Sarah fled, Mark turned to the guests, his smile returning to its genuine warmth. "All right, everyone," he announced. "Let's get this party started. DJ, please play something we can all dance to." And just like that, the tension broke. The DJ cranked up the music, and the dance floor filled with laughing, dancing guests. The entire atmosphere had shifted from awkward confusion to joyous celebration. I looked at Mark, my eyes shining with tears. This time, tears of gratitude and overwhelming love. He had not only defended me, but he had also done it in the most public and utterly brilliant way possible. He had taken Sarah's attempt to humiliate me and turned it directly back on her, without ever losing his composure. He pulled me into a tight embrace. "You okay, my love?" He whispered into my hair that I pulled back, looking up at him. "Mark," I said, my voice choked with emotion. That was incredible. You're incredible." He just winked. Nobody ruins my wife's wedding day. Nobody. The rest of the night was pure magic. Sarah was nowhere to be seen, and her absence was a silent victory. Jessica came over and hugged me tightly. "Your husband is a genius," she whispered. "That was the best wedding revenge I've ever witnessed." My parents, after a brief, tense conversation with Mark, who calmly explained that Sarah had chosen to make herself the center of attention and he merely highlighted her choice, eventually came over to me. My mother looked apologetic. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart," she said, her voice soft. "I don't know what got into her." My father just shook his head, looking utterly resigned. I knew they were embarrassed, but for the first time, I felt like they truly saw Sarah's behavior for what it was. The next day, the entire family was buzzing. My aunts and uncles, cousins, and even some of Mark's relatives were asking about Sarah's surprise wedding. My parents had tried to brush it off as a misunderstanding, but the story had already spread like wildfire. Sarah, still fuming, had packed her bags and left for home early that morning, refusing to speak to anyone. Mark and I are now on our honeymoon, far away from all the drama. I still can't believe it happened, but I also feel an immense sense of relief and vindication. For years, I've let Sarah's need for attention dictate my emotions and overshadow my achievements. But this time, she tried to ruin the most important day of my life, and Mark, my amazing husband, stood up for me and put her in her place in a way I never could have imagined. I'm not sure what this means for my relationship with Sarah in the long term. Part of me hopes she finally learns a lesson about humility and respecting others. Another part of me knows that she might just become even more resentful. But honestly, for the first time in my life, I don't really care. I have Mark, and he showed me, in the most spectacular way possible, that I am loved, valued, and that I deserve to shine. And that's all that matters, that I just needed to get this all out. Has anyone else experienced something similar with an attention-seeking sibling at a major life event? How did you handle it? I'm still trying to process everything, and any advice or similar stories would be greatly appreciated.